Sam Laprade Show continues on City News.
101.1 FM and 1310 AM.
I'm going to take you back to August of 2021 when we watched in horror as so many people from Afghanistan were trying to flee that country. We know the Taliban took over the country, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau came out and indicated he was going to accept 40,000 Afghan refugees. That number is not even close. We wanted to speak with Ali Mirzad today, Senior Government Affairs and Relations Advisor with the Canadian Hazara Humanitarian Services. Hello, Ali.
Hi there. Thank you for having me on your program.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. This is a topic that's been really on my radar, obviously, since, August of 2021, as I indicated, when we saw so many people trying to flee Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. Walk me through a little bit about what your group does.
Well, our organization, the Canadian Hazara Humanitarian Services, which actually the headquarters is based in Toronto, but we represent the Hazaras of Canada coast to coast to coast across this country. And we traditionally, prior to this whole crisis in Afghanistan, were providing community service, resettlement services, linguistic translation, cultural and social services. However, since August 2021, we have shifted our focus on the crisis in Afghanistan, providing relief, providing assistance to the newcomers, tailoring our resettlement services and working hand-to-hand with COSTI and other government organizations in trying to help those that have come to Canada and to make their transition as smooth as possible. That part has actually been quite easy because we have been doing resettlement services for a long time. It's the part of helping people that are stranded in Afghanistan or across neighboring countries that it's been most challenging, because we get thousands and thousands of emails, phone calls, messages from our website from people that are stranded and they're desperately looking for help.
Afghan refugees, my understanding, the number is under 9,000. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And it's quite unfortunate. I mean, unfortunately, when the Prime Minister announced this whole program in August, Parliament was basically, the Parliament was removed, and it really disabled and crippled the ability of many of government agencies in Canada to be able to fulfill that commitment. And sadly, to this day, as you just pointed out, only under 9,000 people have come to Canada, and the majority of those people actually were evacuated while there was the pathway in the corridor that was secured by the American at the Kabul airport. Many folks still remain in third-party countries like, they call them lily pad, like in the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, or other places, without any particular indication of when they would be coming. One of the frustrations we have had is that, while our heart goes out to the people of Ukraine and everyone that's suffering in Ukraine, it's just horrible. But there are measures that the Canadian government can put in place that they have quite swiftly put in place with the Ukrainian crisis that they have not with the Afghan crisis. For example, there was the expedited temporary visa for the unlimited number of Ukrainian citizens. There was a special reunification programs of Canadian Ukrainian that could welcome their relatives to come to Canada. And also, overall, the whole approval process for Ukrainian citizens to come to Canada was streamlined and expedited. Since January, there was 6,000 immigration application from Ukraine that was approved. That's since January, in contrast or in comparison to the Afghanistan crisis, where there's only under 9,000, and that's since August. You can see the big difference, and it's just a bit of it's not fair. I think that, a refugee is a refugee and a crisis is a crisis, and the price of human's life and dignity there is no price. Everyone should be treated fairly.
And let me just ask you this. It's a difficult question to ask, but I think it's an important one. Are you worried that the war in Ukraine is going to overshadow the efforts of you and your team and others trying to have Afghan people come to Canada?
Absolutely. I mean, I would be lying to say that it's not a concern. As an organization, we closely work with many Canadian partners and international partners. And this is a concern that everyone is voicing, that they are feeling it, although the government does not want to say it. But it is felt throughout the processes that the attention has really been shifted, the focus has been shifted, the resources at the immigration level has been shifted towards the Ukrainian crisis. And, unlike the Ukrainians that can go to Europe and by extension of Europe to having access to the free world, Afghanistan is locked. The people of Afghanistan are held hostage from within, and they're surrounded by very hostile countries that are pro-Taliban. You've seen images of trains of Ukrainians being welcomed by the European countries such as Germany and Poland. But in Afghanistan, it's the opposite. Iran and Pakistan are sending back truckloads of Afghans that had taken refuge to them and now are being sent back to the Taliban. It's just horrible.
Well, that's heartbreaking, Ali. And, when I think about a lot of the conversation in August was about interpreters in Afghanistan who really served, Canadian Armed Forces and played a vital role. Are you seeing many of them being able to come to Canada?
Only those who have made it out. And even them, the process is very, very slow. I just want to point out that Canada was one of the last countries across the world that joined the bandwagon of helping Afghan interpreters. Others had done it. Europe had done it. Spain had done it. Every other country did it before. The Canadian government only joined that party at the very end, and that was only after former Canadian generals and members of the military and the armed forces appealed to the government in writing open letters, op-eds. Only then the Canadian government announced its initiative of helping. It seems that our government is good at making pledges and commitment, but it's dragging its feet very, very slowly on the Afghan crisis.
You've described a little bit about the life in Afghanistan for those that are maybe coming from Pakistan and being brought back to the Taliban. In terms of people that are living there, are you having conversations with them and understanding what their everyday life is like?
Absolutely. We all have relatives and loved ones. I am no exception. I have family over there. And they're just living under extreme conditions. First of all, there's poverty, famine, joblessness, the banking system, the economic system has crashed. Across the board, people are afraid. The Taliban portrayed themselves as a new, modernized Taliban 2.0, as many academics call them. But they have proven to be the exact same thing, that they haven't changed. In fact, while the Taliban were making advances towards Kabul in August, they committed mass atrocities that were well documented by many reputable international organizations, such as Amnesty International, about their crimes that have committed against entire villages. People right now are living in fear. The Taliban are holding the people of Afghanistan hostage and as bargaining token for their own agenda. For instance, this whole thing about the girls being forbidden to go to school after grade 6, that was one of the things that the Taliban had said at the outset, that they would not do that they would let people go to school, that they would let women go to school and have permitted girls to go to school. But last week, as the school year started in Afghanistan, they decided and announced and unveiled their true face to the world, that they had not changed. They forbid all women and all girls from going to school.
That's absolutely tragic, and I've been following this story and saw some interviews last week with some of the young girls and with some of the young women that were really hoping to continue either their studies, at the university level or another level, and it's just heartbreaking to see the impact of the Taliban
Absolutely.
on women like that.
And, we, too, we're fearful for our loved ones because prior to the current news about the schools, last month, the theme of the month, if you will, I hate to use that terminology, was the search of door-to-door. So across the whole country, the Taliban had launched a massive operation of searching people's home. And they were, they did a good PR campaign on TV saying that they were going very politely, gently, and respectfully. But those are footages that was seen on the media. What we are hearing from on the ground from our families is the complete opposite. People have been abducted, taken, never seen but after. Many people have been just taken for the just simple fact of having a foreign phone number in their phone logs. And as you can imagine, we're all in Canada. We're obviously in contact with our loved ones. So our loved ones is at risk just for having our phone number in Canada in their phone logs.
I mean, there's no words for that, Ali. I can't even get my brain wrapped around something like that.
Absolutely. And, the worst feeling is the feeling of helplessness. On the one end, as an organization, we are receiving, like I said at the beginning of our conversation, thousands upon thousands of phone calls, emails, text messages from the website, from WhatsApp, from many groups from within the country, and also those that are stranded outside of the country, but more so those that are inside of the country. And they have heard of those commitments that Canada has made, and Canada has portrayed itself as this beacon of hope internationally on the international stage, and certainly at the heart and mind of Afghans that are in Afghanistan. So they heard those big commitments, and they're wondering what's happening now. Why is it taking so long? Why have they not been rescued, and why have they not been helped? Those that are inside, of course, they're held hostage inside because they can't even leave the country. Many people that have tried to flee the country illegally, crossing the borders, those that have managed to make it have been returned back by Pakistan and Iran. But those that did not, the Taliban have seized them because they didn't have passports. On the other hand, the Taliban is controlling the passport office. They've shut down the passport office, and they're very, very meticulously looking at every application and only giving passports to those people that they feel that need them.
If you had 1 minute
Yep.
with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, what would you say to him?
I would say, walk the talk, Mr. Prime Minister. You went to the podium. You said in August that you would not forget the people of Afghanistan and that you would rescue women and children, the vulnerables, the most at risk, religious minorities. Where is that commitment of yours? To this day, you've only brought 8,000 people, and the majority of those people had already been outside of Afghanistan, and a large number of them were taken off of the Americans' bases or lily pads. So what happened to the Canadian commitment?
Please stay in touch, Ali, and we're happy to keep covering this story and bring attention to it.
Thank you for keeping the story alive.
Thank you. Ali Mirzad, Senior Government Affairs and Relations Advisor with the Canadian Hazara Humanitarian Services Organization. We appreciate that opportunity to speak with Ali today and hear about some of the challenges facing the Afghan people. When we come back, comedian